Good Sunday morning. I'm KHU11 meteorologist Chris Ramirez. It's going to be another hot and sweltering day today. In fact, it's going to be maybe a couple of degrees hotter than what we saw yesterday. Feels like temps ranging between 102 to 108 degrees, but then heading into the rest of the week as we start our work week, we're going to be tracking some rain chances, and we could see some widespread rain potential across southeast Texas heading into Tuesday and Wednesday. So this morning, we're starting off with temps already in the 80s, 82 at Bush Airport, Sugar Land, and Hobby Airport at, Bush Airport at 83. It's already feeling like 92 degrees in the 90s when you factor in that humidity. So Conroe, Tomball already feeling like 86 and 90. As we go into the next 12 hours, we are expecting those high temps to top out around 98 for us here in Houston. Dew points are also pretty elevated. It's muggy, it's humid out there. That's a measure of the atmospheric moisture that's currently in the picture. And so expect those highs to be in the upper 90s, and the humidity is going to just cause that feels like temp to be just hotter for this afternoon. So practice those heat safety measures. Galveston topping out at 88 degrees, Jamaica Beach at 87, Bay Harbor at 87. Just also keep in mind there's going to be a high rip current risk for all of our Gulf facing beaches. For the feels like temp forecast, just keep in mind that between 107 even 108 for areas north of town, expecting to be feeling rather hot. And so when it comes to the heat index impacts, just keep in mind that what usually happens during dry air is that our sweat does a really good job at cooling us off on a normal dry day. However, when it's humid, our sweat just sticks to our body and it feels all the more muggy outside, which heat index actually plays a factor on your body. And so when we have the heat index at 103 to 124, you can get a heat stroke, heat cramps, heat exhaustion likely if you do not take those necessary heat precautions. So take frequent breaks, stay hydrated. Often also just look before you lock. So as we look at if the outside air temperature is 95, just know after 10 minutes it can get up to 114 degrees. After 20 minutes, 124, 30 minutes, 129, 40 minutes, 133. After 50 minutes, up to 136 inside of a car. So watch out for the pets and the children as we head into the warmer parts of the day, which is really between the hours of 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So as we go into looking at that safety, just remember the 3 S's. Wear that sunscreen, find shade if not really be directly in the sun, and stay hydrated even if you are in a pool, because we're going to see one of those summer-like days today. Also, if you're heading to the coast, just keep in mind on that high rip current risk that's going to be impacting all of our Gulf-facing beaches. That does include Galveston, Surfside Beach, even Bolivar Peninsula for this afternoon. So as we look at future track, we're expecting mostly sunny skies. Highs in the 90s, not really seeing much of any cloud cover. However, there's going to be this disturbance that's going to be tracking through the northern part of the state and moving southward. It's not really going to move towards Houston, but we could see College Station, Huntsville, Livingston. You might get an isolated stray storm later on tonight between the 11 o'clock hour to 12 a.m. hour. And so just keep in mind that most of our weather models is keeping most of the activity well north of Huntsville, College Station, Livingston. But we might see maybe an isolated storm or two move through our extreme northern areas. However, and that's the reason why the Storm Prediction Center is keeping our northern areas under a slight risk for severe weather. That's extreme northern Walker County. That's a 2 out of 5. So I don't think we're not going to see much of anything in that region. However, that's not the case for areas north of Houston. Dallas-Fort Worth under the gun for a significant severe weather threat, and yes, that does include tornadoes. So if you are planning to travel to Dallas, maybe today, they are expecting quite a significant severe weather threat from Dallas-Fort Worth, including along the I-20 corridor up just near Lubbock. That is a 4 out of 5. That's a moderate risk for severe weather. That's quite elevated, and we usually don't see the 4 out of 5s quite often from the Storm Prediction Center. So tornado threat definitely in the picture tonight between the hours of 11 p.m. to midnight. That's really kind of a serious situation because you usually can't see anything at night, especially if a tornado does happen, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. However, going into the week, we're going to see the approaching frontal boundary. We're going to have several disturbances moving through southeast Texas, and that's going to keep widespread rain chances in the picture starting on Tuesday. We could still see some isolated showers and storms on Monday, but then it's becoming more widespread heading into Tuesday, lasting at least through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Rain chances expecting to be in the picture at least as far as next weekend. So this unsettled weather pattern is going to be the case for much of the week. So make sure to pay close attention on that, on the road conditions. Make sure to also give yourself enough time heading to and from work going into the next few days, because we are expecting a quite significant rain chance, and we could see some areas between 1 to 2 inches of rain, maybe some isolated areas between 3 to 5 inches of rain as we head into next Thursday and into Friday. So quite a significant rain chance expected to be in the picture. The good news is that all this rain could secure our extreme western areas from the drought conditions. We're in good standing in Houston, even Huntsville, Conroe, Liberty, Galveston, not enduring any drought conditions, but areas off towards the west, San Antonio, seeing extreme drought in the picture for portions of south central Texas. The Climate Prediction Center is calling for above normal precipitation from June 14th to June 18th. So it's looking more likely that this unsettled weather pattern is going to be in the picture through much of the month. And also temps are expecting to still remain above normal by June 14th to June 18th. So we're seeing those temperatures feeling like it should feel in July and August, especially for today. And so the Climate Prediction Center indicating that we could get more of these days where it's feeling rather hot out there. It's going to be interesting to see how hot we're actually going to get in July or August. Hopefully we're not hotter. But for hurricane season, peak of hurricane season, just a reminder, on September 10th, usually September is the time that we usually see more of our storms here in the Gulf, but we can't rule out some possible storms that could happen in the months of June and July. Remember, we had Beryl last July. We've had Tropical Storm Allison back in 2001, so just keep an eye on that, the tropics. And the good news is that no storms are expected in the Atlantic basins for the next 7 days. I know you see that flash. That's a blip in the satellite data. That's really not too much of anything. But looking at the hurricane preparedness list, and just make sure you have food and water, have medicine and prescriptions, batteries, keep your phones charged, have extra chargers on hand, and also make sure your cars are filled up with gas. So looking at your 7-day forecast, high temps topping out in the 90s for today. It's going to feel like a typical summer day across southeast Texas. Remaining mostly isolated for Monday, but we will see the potential for these widespread showers and storms starting on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this coming week. And then Friday, Saturday, likely to see more of those rain chances in the picture going into the end of our weekend. So expecting those conditions to remain mostly just a bit active in terms of what we're expecting to see for today. So just kind of recapping what we're going to see for this afternoon. So Sunday, the rest of our Sunday, rather hot, humid, sweltering out there. We still have a little bit of that haze in the picture. That's going to really prevent those temperatures from warming all too high, much like we saw yesterday. But just keep in mind that mostly clear, but our extreme northern areas, Livingston, Huntsville, College Station, might see maybe an isolated storm or two. There's going to be this quite significant disturbance that's going to be moving in from North Texas. That's not going to quite make it to Houston. That's just going to keep those storms well north of Huntsville, College Station. And we're also keeping an eye. This is important if you're traveling across the state of Texas for today. So these storms that are expected to hit the Dallas-Fort Worth area, not happening until 11 p.m. to midnight tonight, but they are under a moderate risk for severe weather. That is a 4 out of 5 on the severe weather index scale. That is quite significant, and there is the potential for large hail, damaging winds, as well as tornadoes for the Dallas-Fort Worth area later on tonight. So if you're heading into that region, be extra cautious out there. If you have loved ones in the Dallas area, make sure to give them the call and tell them to keep an eye on the weather forecast. Our sister station up there is WFAA. So looking at storms for us here across Houston, we're expecting mostly unsettled weather through to Tuesday and Wednesday, and that's going to be the case for much of the week. Rain chances remaining in the picture each and every day for this coming week. And so just keep an eye on those road conditions. I know Jennifer Reyna has those traffic updates every morning. And so we are expecting between 1 to 2 inches of rain in some locations, even isolated 3 to 5 inches of rain through the next few days, especially as we head into the afternoon hours. And we could get even more rain chances as we head into the past next weekend. But temps are expected to remain above normal. Highs for this time of year, usually around 91, 92 degrees. The good news that even though we're dealing with this rain chance and sweltering temps, no storms expected for the next 7 days across the Atlantic basin. So we're quiet still in the picture, and just always remember to have your hurricane action plans ready, as well as keeping an eye on the forecast as we head into the next few months until November 30th is when hurricane season ends. Just to recap on our 7-day, highs in the 90s for today, feels like between 105 to 107. Isolated storms move in tomorrow. Temps are just slightly cooler. And then that rain chance is becoming more widespread by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, lasting through Friday and Saturday. So just keep that in mind, that another week of unsettled weather. We already knew what happened with that isolated storm that happened out in downtown, where we saw some flooding with those torrential rains that we saw. So just keep an eye on those low-lying areas, as well as keeping an eye on the latest weather forecast. And you can always keep an eye on the latest weather forecast by downloading the KHOU 11 app. You can access all of our updated forecasts, and we are tracking the latest for you. And you can also access this extended forecast, which you're able to watch on KHOU 11 Plus on your Roku TV, or even on the app itself. So of course, I'm meteorologist Chris Ramirez with your extended forecast. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and stay safe in this heat, but also stay safe with the rain chances that are coming as we head into the rest of this week.